That's what people went crazy over. This is this is what people were going apeshit over back in 2013. Uh, Mama. The first film directed by Andy Muschietti, who of course would go on to direct both chapters of the new adaptation of It, and supposedly directing the solo Flash film in a couple of years. So that's two horror directors doing a DC film. Yeah, Mama, I remember when this came out. I didn't see it back then. I saw the trailer, and I was just like, PG-13 supernatural horror film. In fact, the first time I watched Martyrs, that vision that she sees of the woman reminded me of the trailer for this. And when this came out, it got a lot of good notices. I mean, it wasn't like Hereditary or The Witch or anything like that, but it did get plenty of good reviews. A lot of people liked it. Some people were calling it like the scariest film that they had seen. Even still today, there are people that I've seen on Facebook or in person still talking about this film. It's not for me. I mean, Guillermo del Toro, who is a great filmmaker, he served as executive producer because he liked what he saw with this. There is some Del Toro kind of stuff with it. You know, the ending kind of reminded me of Del Toro. The look of Mama, which even Mama herself is played by Javier Botet, however you pronounce it, who's pretty much the new monster actor. I mean, he played the zombie up at or the demon possessed person, depending, in Wreck, up in the penthouse apartment. Uh, the Mummy in the Tom Cruise one, Slender Man. He was the Crooked Man in Conjuring 2. The leper in the new It films. He was in Scary Stories as the man that comes down the chimney. So he's like the new monster. And it's based on a story by Andy and Barbara Muschietti, who I believe is his wife. It's his sister. Okay. It stars Jessica Chastain, Nikolai Coster-Waldau, and two girls. Megan Charpentier and Isabelle Nalis. And, I mean, for its budget, which was $15 million, it looks like a $15 million film. It made 146.4, so it was a sizable hit. And yeah, horror at its best. I mean, this movie got a bunch of good reviews. I see on Facebook groups, scariest movie you've ever seen, even under most disturbing you've ever seen, which I know it's all subjective, but it's a PG-13 supernatural film. I don't mean to sound pompous, but the story, okay, the tagline, a mother's love is forever. You have this guy played by Nikolai Coster-Waldau. It's during the 2008 financial crisis. Lost a shit ton of money. Killed his wife. Takes his two daughters, aged 3 and 1. You get in a wreck on the road because it's icy. Go off the road into the woods. They find a cabin. He intends on killing them and himself. He is then attacked by a shadowy figure, which I don't know if you can see on the back here, like a feral version of that girl that's in all the Sia videos. Looking at the back, I was like, that's Mama. No, that's what the girls end up looking like, but kind of. Mama looks more like a ghostly, wavy-haired, ghostly version of the painting monster on It Chapter 1. And so he's attacked and killed by a shadowy figure. And then through kids' crayon drawings, we see during the opening credits, this figure that they've drawn, you'll get the idea they were fed rats, taken care of, playing outside. 5 years goes by. His twin brother, the dad's twin brother, Lucas, also played by the same actor, has not given up on finding them. He has a search party. He's an artist. His girlfriend is Jessica Chastain, who looks very different in this movie. Of course, she was in It Chapter 2. She's got short black hair, kind of gothy. She's in like a punk band. And, of course, today, the search party decides to look in this one area. Almost immediately, they come across the cabin. They find the car and the cabin. And that is the very beginning of one of my problems with this film, is convenience. There's a lot of convenience in this film, plot-wise. I mean, the movie looks good. I'm not the biggest fan of It, original or new. I think It is a bit overrated. But I can say I still haven't seen Chapter 2. I'm in no hurry. The story of It just doesn't interest me. I did see the first one in theaters. I liked how it looked. Andy Muschietti is a very competent director. And if you got someone like Del Toro producing it, you're gonna have a very good-looking, very well-made film. You have some very interesting shots. Does have some good scares. Some good creepy elements. But it's a whole lot of convenience, jump scares. The dream fake-out sequence, there's a dream fake-out within a dream fake-out. And it's PG-13. But anyway, finds the two girls. They're feral as fuck from being out there for 5 years. They get rescued, and they're taken into the hands of psychologists. Dr. Gerald Dreyfus, played by Daniel Cash. Custody is between the uncle and their aunt on their mother's side, I believe. And because like the oldest had glasses and then she just stopped wearing them. And I mean, they are feral. I mean, and I've seen documentaries on feral children. Yeah, they lose their ability to speak. They act like animals. And these kids, they crawl and pounce on all fours, but they CGI the shit out of it. So it looks like the crawling zombies on the Day of the Dead remake, the first one by Steve Miner. I don't know why they had to do that, make them move that fast. I mean, there's a part when the uncle goes into the room that they're staying in to give her her glasses. And literally, she like gets down and like almost immediately, she's like hiding under the bed. Like CGI, like crawling. I guess it looks creepy, but they had to CGI it. She puts on her glasses, and then that's when she stops acting like an animal. She takes his daddy, because they're twins. He says no. And of course, she can speak. She's Victoria. They're worried about Lily because she was 1. She's pretty much, they don't have hope that she's going to be able to adapt speech. She's the one that kind of stays feral. And they talk about this figure named Mama. Also, as part of custody, is they have to stay in this, because they have a small apartment. They have to stay in this house that's sort of owned or funded by the Children's Hospital. And right away, I mean, which Lucas is almost taken out of the film completely because another thing about Mama is there's all these black moths. I guess that shows her presence. And then there's like this CGI black hole in a wall that kind of veins out. So her long black fingers come out of it in a jump scare, push him over the railing, and he goes down the stairs, ends up in a coma. Now, Jessica Chastain, her character is well foreshadowed. First time we see her. First time we see her, she's in the bathroom with the pregnancy test. It's negative, and she's very excited. Like, yes, sweet, yes. She's like, okay, not ready to be a mom, doesn't like kids. Her arc is she's gonna have to take care of these kids. She's gonna have a change of heart. She's gonna become a mother to them. You get that all in the first scene with her. And I've seen a few movies with Jessica Chastain. I do like her as an actress. I keep getting her confused with Bryce Dallas Howard, but... And yeah, she doesn't warm up to the girls. Lily is always behind Victoria like that. And when she first meets them, she says mama. She's like, no, don't call me that. I'm not your mama. She's kind of cold. So then when Lucas is in the coma, it's pretty much Jessica Chastain and the two girls. And it's almost a haunted house movie. You know, kids playing with the ghosts. And you do have like one good scene. There's a couple setups like this where the camera, we see the doorway to the bedroom and then the hallway. And so we see Lily kind of having a tug of war with a blanket with someone that we can't see in the bedroom. Then down the hallway, we just see Victoria walk in a frame. So it's like, oh, tug of war with someone else. And then Jessica Chastain comes in by. Victoria tells her the dog wants to come in. So Victoria, she goes away. Victoria comes in, takes her glasses off, goes in the room, and then when she shuts the door, then we see Lily kind of floating around. You have some neat shots like that. We don't really get to see Mama till way later, which I guess is fine. Dr. Dreyfus is looking into who... First he thinks Victoria has like dissociative personality disorder. That she's making it up. But then he looks into it because in one of his hypnosis therapies with Victoria, he talked about how she took her baby to a cliff by the water, killed herself or whatever, however she puts it. So he looks into it. He finds there was a woman back in like, I think it was like the 1800s that stole a baby, ran off, and jumped off the cliff with the baby. We see it in a dream sequence, which I'll get to the dream sequences. It's basically just Jessica Chastain in the house, hearing them play with someone. It sounds like someone else is there, but when she comes, there's no one there. She goes towards the closet where Mama is. Victoria stops her. So first she thinks someone else is coming in the house. It's almost like your haunted house movie, only the kids aren't afraid. Victoria kind of starts to distance herself, but Lily is very committed. There's even a scene where Victoria's in a room crying, and Chastain asks her what's wrong. She's like, I don't want you to get hurt. She's like, why would I get hurt? She says, because she gets jealous. So yeah, about this mother's love, you know, she's their mama, doesn't want anyone else near them. But the dream sequence, Mama is sort of, I guess, feeding her visions and memories in her sleep. Because we get Mama's backstory about stealing the baby at the cliff, which the dream sequences are very well shot. Very, I don't know what filters were used, but I mean, it looks like a dream. It looks more like a dream than the Elm Street reboot. It's very Silent Hill looking. I really liked it. I liked the dream sequences. I guess I can't really call that level a fake out because it looks like a dream, but we get a fake out after, so it's not really a fake out within a fake out. I'll be lenient on that. But like when we see someone take a step, it's like they step and it's like that black, veiny, almost like tree root spreading. It's her mama's POV. So if she takes the baby from the nun or whatever, stabs her with the sewing needle or whatever it is. We see like the death take over. We see her long, icy fingers holding the baby. Then of course it's her POV going off the cliff. Very well shot. Then when Chastain wakes up, Victoria's standing next to the bed. She keeps she's like, what's under the bed? And when the camera pans down, it's like Mama is like stuck to the bottom of the bed. And then she just kind of looks at Victoria. Not much music, but that shot is creepy. How she just looks at her. Then the camera pans up, and of course she goes around the side of the bed, right beside her. So when she turns and looks, she screams. There's our fake out, fake out. So it has its number of jump scares with Mama, but it has a couple of creepy scenes as well. Because like the aunt comes over at one point, sees the kids with bruises, thinks they're being abused. At one point, even Lily goes outside late at night, falls asleep under a tree, gets cold. Chastain brings her in, tries to warm her up, and she likes that. But then like the aunt comes over to like sneak pictures of them in the bruises. But Mama gets to her. But we see like, because we see Mama like sort of go into the floor up to here, upstairs, because she just knocked out Chastain. And she like goes into the floor. So then where the aunt is downstairs, we just see that her hair moving on. And the hair's not CGI, which I'm glad. It's not a lot of money to get a wig and a string and just pull it around. I'm sure there's more to it than that. That looked creepy too, and of course, stops right in front of her. Mama comes up. The uncle has a dream, which this dream was really creepy. He dreams of like a bridge, and then like far away, this really twitchy silhouette of his brother steps in. It's like, save my girl. It's like very twitchy but very quick movements. And so that he's like looking through his stuff, like the map of where he wanted his search party to go, and he sees a picture of that bridge. Chastain comes to, the girls aren't there. Earlier she stole the case box from the doctor because the doctor gets taken by Mama. Because he goes back to the cabin, Mama gets him. Apparently this ghost can go wherever she wants. It's not confined to a certain area or people. Always defined by moss. And here's more convenience. Because she's on her way to like that bridge. Chastain's on her way to the cabin. Calls Lucas, goes to voicemail. Says, I'm on my way to the cabin, and then almost runs someone over way out in the middle of nowhere in the woods near that bridge, and it's Lucas. He's like, oh hey, I just got your message. So more convenience. And then we're brought to the ending when, well, I should have explained this. While the doctor's looking into Mama's past, it's sort of like this archive place where this woman who says cryptic shit gives him a box. We don't know what's in it until now. I guess mom is trying to relive what she did so she can be at peace. So she brings the girls to the cliff. And Chastain's defense is she opens the box and it is the wrapped skeletal remains of that baby from years ago. Gives it to Mama. Mama seems happy. But then the younger girl yells, Mama, Mama. Then she goes back into protective Mama mode. And she can like touch you and suck your life force out, reach through you and do that. Jessica Chastain keeps getting the shit beat out of her and having her head put down to sleep. Lily wants to go with Mama. Victoria is just, surrendering. She doesn't want to go, but she's surrendering. She says Annabelle, which is Chastain. I just didn't feel like calling her Annabelle because Annabelle. He's putting her head down in the ground to sleep. She's like, Annabelle, just sleep. It's okay. But she doesn't give up because that's her arc. Hated kids in the beginning. Now she loves the girls. Holds onto her bathrobe strap. And eventually she just lets go of Mama. It's like, I'm sorry, but I love you, but I'm sorry. And like her face is like stretched and kind of twisted. Kind of like the painting monster on It. Lily is like, Victoria, come. Mama, Lily. She's crying, says no, no. And then Mama just takes Lily, hovers over the cliff, gets like a spawn cape wrapping, turn into like cloth, and they just plummet. And they have a moment where we see inside what they're wrapped in, like face to face, smiling at each other, which, I'll get to that. And then right when they hit the ground, or before, they just turn into a bunch of moths. So Mama has Lily, the child who would have had a normal upbringing anyway, just because of her emotional and mental growth. But a moth that flies by Victoria has a blue stripe on it instead of black, so now the moths are one. Now, for a moment, before Lily yells Mama, when she has the skeletal remains, she turns into like a ghostly version of herself. Like she's not all like mummy looking, I guess. She looks human but with like a white glow, but still with her deformed, fucked up face. And that looked so much better than the shoddy CGI of Mama. I don't know what the difference was, but like when she is more normal looking, but with, I guess, like the heavenly white glow, it reminded me of the white long-armed ghost on Poltergeist. I know it's still CGI, but it looked a lot better than evil Mama. If there was a way to use that and make her look evil, because that was a lot more convincing than the CGI of when she's evil. And yeah, that's the ending. Lily and Mama are now one. I guess she's at peace. The moths now have a blue stripe. There was supposed to be a sequel. Chastain wasn't going to return. I don't know who was set to direct. This has got to be a typo. Universal announced that Dennis Widmeyer and Kevin Kolsch would rewrite and direct it. His name can't be Kevin. That's got to be a typo. But as of 2016, there's been nothing. I don't see anything happening with it. I don't care if there was. And the ending with the moth and the blue stripe, and just the whole ending with Lily and Mama floating, that sort of dark, like high fantasy but dark. That's the Del Toro that I felt. And it was beautifully shot. It had sort of its darkly beautiful moments, and the really creepy scenes or scenes or with the jump scares really felt Andy Muschietti. I didn't hate this like I thought I was going to. It had its moments. The plot was a bit contrived. It was very convenient at times. I just, to me, it's going to be very forgetful. I don't see the love that this movie gets, even still. It it felt like, to a point where it's just Chastain and the girls, it felt like any other haunted house movie, essentially. But the girls aren't really afraid of it, I guess, except for Victoria. The only good things I could say is it had a couple good creepy scenes. I loved the dream sequences. The dream sequences with the ending was very Del Toro. Loved the way the dream sequences were shot. I think they looked beautiful. The ending, more take it or leave it. I get the whole movie's take it or leave it. The cinematography and the production, especially for $15 million, did look really well done. I really just have a problem with the plot, its convenience, its jump scares, its shoddy CGI, even for 2013. Is this a rant? Maybe mild. I'm not sure. I really didn't care for this movie. I still liked it way more than I thought I would, but that's mama. So I forgot my plugs, so go to one of my recent videos, 500 subs. It's a new Q&A. Leave your questions in the comments. I'll answer them this weekend. Go like and join the Room 237 Reviews Facebook group. I'm trying to get more posts about the channel, especially with feedback. So if you do join, feel free to do that. Also, make sure you answer the questions and agree to the rules. Don't know how to make them mandatory. And go check out Road 237 Reviews Patreon. Check out the tiers, see if you'd like to be a patron. If you would, that'd be greatly appreciated. If not, thank you all the same. And that is my surprisingly not huge rant on Mama. Thank you for watching.